says we have the derivative of e to the u is e to the u times du. Now, I like to put the du in the front. I'm still going to write the u for you. The u is 3 sine x. The derivative of sine is cosine. What do you do with the 3? Nothing. Just leave it there. So there's the u and the du. I don't necessarily need to rewrite it, but I will. I'm going to take 2e, and where 3 sine x is, I'm going to put the u. And I'm going to take the derivative of this, right? ddx. ddx means take the derivative of whatever is next to it. This is like an operator. It's telling you to do something. So the derivative of e to the u is e to the u. But what you do is you put the du in the front of it. I put it in the front because it looks better. So I'm going to do 2 times du, which is right here, which is 3 cosine x. And then the power doesn't change. This stays the same. I'm going to write this bigger in a minute when I write the final answer. So now I do 2 times 3. I'm going to be really unhappy with you if you don't do that. And then I'll mention what's going on. And I'm going to do the second one slightly faster. It's kind of long, especially if the power is big. So when you start with e to the u, you get e to the u. Look, it didn't change. 3 sine x, 3 sine x. The e never changes. You just bring the e down exactly the way that it was, and then you take the derivative of the power and you put it in the front. I'm going to do this with the second one, where I'm not going to write it all out like this. What I want to do this derivative, you write a copy of what you started with, which is x squared plus 3x minus 1. Then you take the derivative of the power and you put it in the front. The derivative of x squared plus 3x minus 1. This is 2x, this is 3, and negative 1 is a constant, so it's 0. So now put it in the front. I'm going to put 2x plus 3. And you get this marked wrong. What? What do you mean wrong? This is bullshit. I did everything right. So again, I remind you that if you have something like this, two plus 3 times 4, or if I had something like 2 plus 3 times 4, multiplication goes first, right? 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. Here, this goes first, parentheses first, right? 5 times 4 is 20. These are not the same. They don't mean the same thing. You must put parentheses around this if there's more than one term. If there's only one term, you don't have to put the parentheses, right? I only had 6 cos x here. You could put the parentheses, but here I have 2 separate terms, right? Separated by a plus or minus. So you have no choice but to put parentheses, or it only means the 3 times that. So you have to put parentheses there. This is the reason why. So if you forget those parentheses, you are going to lose 1 point because your derivative is not going to be correct. All right. So again, write a copy of e exactly the way he was, take his power and take the derivative of it and put it in the front. And this looks better than this being over here. I don't like this over there. That's why I put it in the front. And it's just easier. It looks nicer. All right, so now we get to ln. So the derivative of ln of u is du over u. You put whoever is in the parentheses, that's your u dude. You put him on the bottom, and then you put his derivative on the top. So it's super straightforward. So here the u is what's in the parentheses. Then you have to take the derivative of that, and again multiply by this is classic power rule. You get 3 times 10, which is 30, and then subtract 1 off the power, right? 10 minus 1. A lot of you, man, I'm seeing this mistake a lot. You'll take the derivative, you just write 30x. And I'm like, where did your power go? Please don't forget your power. He gets upset. So you have ln u. I mean, I'm supposed to have ddx in front of these. This is me being ultimately lazy. So there's the tiny little ddx. Take the derivative of this thing. So you have derivative ln u. It's going to be du over u. Doesn't get much more basic than this. Take the u, there's the u, put it on the bottom of the fraction. take his derivative and put it on the top of the fraction. Now, I'm not going to be happy if you decide to leave it like this. I mean, if you don't know what 30 divided by 3 is, you can come visit my remedial class. So you get 10. Now, you got to be careful here. I want this simplified. You have 10 x's on the bottom and 9 on the top. You're going to get 1 left over on the bottom. So your answer simplifies to 10 over x. And yes, you don't leave it like this. You must simplify it all the way down. All right? It's important that you don't stop here. Most of the time, you can simplify. Most of the time. Now, this one I'm going to do a little quicker. There's my u. I know the derivative of this is 3x squared. So the derivative of ln u is u on the bottom. So write the dude here on the bottom. Then take his derivative and put it above. This derivative is 3x squared. And what about the plus 5? Well, the plus 5 is a constant. Now, you're going to be real tempted to do some silly shit here. This is the problem. But when you have this plus 5 there, I mean, if you had 3 over 3 plus 5, I mean, this is 3 over 8 for sure. 3 plus 5 is 8. Now, if you decide to get cute and cross those out, I mean, what the fuck is this? Even if you put a 1 there. I mean, this doesn't work. Can't do this. And I have seen people, some of you guys in your first test, you did some silly shit. You would cross it out like this. It was real, like in the limit problem. You had a limit problem where you had like x squared plus x over whatever. I'm just making up some shit. You had something like this. I had people do this on the test. They fucking crossed out the x squareds. They crossed out the x's. I was like, what? I mean, this is bad. Don't do this in calculus, please. So you got to have more sense than that. You're done. Really easy. Du over u. It does not get any easier than that. And this one doesn't simplify, but this one did. There's no pluses and minuses between these terms. There's a single term. This is a single term. You can reduce. Here you cannot. You have 2 terms. Binomial. You cannot cross out like that. All right. Now I'm going to do one more. The last example. I'm using, this is going to be a double chain rule. I'm using a trig function that has a chain rule built into it. So this time I am going to be very careful with it. I'm going to pick my u, which is whatever is inside the parentheses. And now I'm going to do the du. But you have to recognize you have another u within the u. Oh my God, you do the u again? People who do the double chain rule, like if you go look at one of the math solvers, I recommend you don't. It'll call it w at this point. They don't call it u again, but we're going to do it more sophisticated. I know that when I do the derivative of cosecant, cusc, it's cusc cot. So when I have the derivative of cosecant u, it's negative cosecant u cotangent, cusc cot. So I'm going to keep the thing the same. You're going to put cusc 3x, and you're going to put cot 3x. Now you're missing the du. This is the u again. You need the derivative of 3x. So I have to put it in the front. Now also, don't forget that there's a minus sign. I want to put the minus sign here. You cannot write this. This means 3 take away, blah, 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 blah. So you don't do that. So I'm putting the negative 3 in the front. Negative because the derivative of cos is negative cos cot. All right. So I just remember cos cot, and I know the sign switches. So the u has to stay the same. Cos u, cotangent u, and then you make it negative. And I need the du. All right. This is what you were doing last time. You should have did this for homework. So the derivative of ln of u, remember, this is important. If I'm telling you that it is du over u, nowhere in this is an ln. Your answer is not going to be ln du over u. I see a lot of people write the ln in their answer. The ln goes away. His derivative, like, remember, ln x, his derivative was 1 over x. There's no ln there. This isn't ln 1 over x. So the ln vanishes. So you're just going to write du over u. So u goes on the bottom, cusc 3x, and then negative 3 cusc 3x, cot 3x goes on top. Got to extend my line here. Now, you see no pluses and minuses. This is all multiplication, right? Times times, let me put my little dots there. So since it's all multiplication, you know, if you had 3 times 2 over 3, right? That's 6 over 3, which is 2. And now if you cross the 3's out, well, 2 times 1 is 2. Yay, you get the same thing. You are allowed to cross out over multiplication. So I'm going to wipe out this dude and this dude. They cross out completely. And again, you must simplify this. If you are able to, you must. You're graded on the simplification. If it's easy to do, this is easy to do. I don't expect you to do more complicated ones. So the answer, his derivative, the derivative of ln cos 3x is negative 3 cotangent 3x. That's the derivative. All right. Little simplification. Du over u. Du derivative, the u on the bottom, the derivative on the top.